Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on our first webinar to take you step by step on how to submit your online space application for the 2017 Housewares Show. Today it'll be myself, Nancy Michael, Dawn Whitman, who is the one who actually receives your application, and Katie Till, who is our sales manager for North Hall. We are joined by two other sales managers, Lisa Clemmy for South Hall and Alyssa Fulton for Lakeside. So we're all going to kind of jump in as needed. You can ask questions at any time during the webinar, and then we'll get the word and we'll stop the presentation to answer the questions. We're going to do our best to really be clear on how to do some of these things. And once we're finished, the webinar will be, it's being recorded and it will be on our website, and we'll also try to send the link to you for further reference. So getting started, most of you should have received your space application information packet already, and in there you would have an instruction sheet. If you look at the screen, you'll see those red boxes. The one on the left is really your pertinent information. That gives you last year's booth dimensions. It gives you your user ID and your seniority number, both of which you need to log on to the space application. And that,
if you're new to Housewares, you won't have any information from last year, and when you do your application, you'll only be able to select make booth request.
Oh, and then it gives you kind of a step-by-step instruction to follow. I know these screens are a little small, but it's very clear in your packet. The next screen is the payment options, and we're going to cover this a little bit more in depth later in the presentation, but there's a few takeaways here. First of all, the deadline is July 1st. If you use payment option number 1, that means you're going to pay in full with your membership, and you're going to receive a 50-cent discount on your booth square footage. So instead of paying $15.50, you're going to pay $15. Again, all of that full payment and your application must be submitted to us by July 1st. That is a very important date. If you choose payment option 2, it lets you pay in 2 installments. So the first installment needs to come in by July 1st with your application, and the second installment needs to be in by September 16th. We cannot assign space. We cannot confirm you. We cannot do anything until full payment is received. The other thing with payment number 2 you need to understand is that there are no refunds associated with that. Those are the takeaways. We'll kind of reiterate this information later in the presentation. Oh yeah, and there's no discount with payment number 2. So you're paying that, with membership you'd be paying the $15.50 rate. So this space assignment process is pulled right from the space application. We get a lot of questions on how we do it, why it takes so long, you know, all sorts of things. The thing you need to know here is the first round that we really concentrate on are those applications that meet the deadline, and that can take anywhere. We start that process mid to late July, and that can go to the end of October. So we just, you know, to manage your expectations, you just need to be patient with your sales managers as they work through the process. And at any time, you know, you can absolutely reach out and ask how things are going, but just understand that October, you could be looking at end of August, you could be looking at mid-September, you could be looking at end of October, depending on what your requests are and based on the return we receive by that deadline date. I'm going to turn it over to Dawn, and she's going to take you through instructions step by step.
So when you go to the website at housewares.org, show, exhibit, and space application, you're going to be taken to the company login page. You're going to need your ID and seniority number, which is, as Nancy pointed out, located on your instruction sheet in that lower right-hand corner. The steps are listed on the left-hand navigation side, and if you're a returning exhibitor, this application is much like the show directory and other websites that IHA offers. We try to keep it pretty consistent so that you would be very familiar with how things work. The first step after login is your company information. And if you are interested in that little question mark, if you roll your mouse over there, it's going to give you directions on how to submit a name change for your company. If everything else is correct and you don't need to make any changes, you can click on the box, save and proceed to the next step. I would just like to point out that if all of the phone numbers are correct, the digits themselves are actually correct, you don't need to go on and make any changes by adding spaces or taking away the brackets. Our phone numbers are formatted in a certain way so that when all of our exhibitors log on to our Housewares Connect 365, there is some kind of uniform format for everyone. And if you have any questions about how to change your company name, you're directed to email me directly. The next step that you're taken to is company demographics. Personal information. This information would be, it's kept by IHA. We don't gather or sell any of our lists. We're a nonprofit trade association, and every person's email is protected on here. So please feel free to update your CEOs, CFOs, your international sales managers, marketing and advertising managers. Of course, there's also space there for show contact and member contact, which are really the two most important people in the whole world to us. The next page is your company demographics. Now, by completing this, your company is also going to be receiving our trade association and state of the industry report. This report is sent to you free of charge if this step is completed. Now, it's not mandatory. You can click through, but you won't be able to come back later and complete it.
Just to add on, we use that demographic page to compile some of the information in the State of Industry report. So we feel it's pretty important just so everybody has a snapshot of really what's happening in the industry. So we encourage you to fill it out.
Now the next step is very important. This is going to be your booth request, and once you've completed this, you can't go back. If you're a returning exhibitor, by having exhibited last year at the 2016 show, when you log on and go to the booth request screen, you're going to be given three options. You can click same, which means same size, same location. You can choose expansion to have a new size in your same location, or relocation, which could be same size in a new location or new size in a new location. You must make one request at least before continuing, and if you are requesting more booth space in 2017 than you had in 2016, you will be billed for the additional space once you've been assigned. We don't ask that you pay for any expansion until that expansion has truly been granted.
And just a side note, those of you who have been with us for a while who are listening in, expansion can be very difficult to accommodate. So this is the reason we no longer charge for the expansion, because we'll just bill you at the time we're able to accommodate it, if we're able to accommodate it.
Now, if you're new to IHA, you're only going to be given the one button to make your request. And once you click on this button, you're going to be taken to a page where you can enter in your dimensions, configuration, corners, utilities, who you want to be next, who you don't want to be next to, list all your competitions. There is also a space that asks for booth request numbers. This is a free text area where you can enter in call with options or best available. If you'd like to be near the cooking theater, type in that. If you have like product and another company is a friend of yours, if you want to be near them, type in their name. It's a free text area, and while you may be limited on characters, I'm pretty sure the limit is pretty high.
Donna, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Just to confirm, expansion is a larger booth in the same location?
The middle button.
Yes, expansion would be a larger booth in the same location.
The next question is, what if we wanted a different location?
Then you would click Request. And then you're going to need to complete what category, your dimensions, your configuration. If you're requesting same, all of your information from the 2016 show is pre-populated. So if you want your same size and same location, it pre-populates for you, and you can just click on the required boxes that you accept, our terms and conditions, and then you can move on to the next page.
Okay, and the last question is, if somebody wanted to request a smaller space in the same area, which should they request?
They would click the request button. Because you're changing the size of your configuration, you need you're either downsizing or expanding in your space, you need to be able to enter in your dimensions. By clicking same, the dimensions are pre-populated.
That's all I have right now.
Okay. Now you'll see there's two orange boxes on this screen. They are mandatory. The first one there is to sign off on the utilities. Through years of offering utilities at our show, we have learned that people requesting water and drain have very, very special requirements. So if you're just requesting electricity, you still have to sign off on that you read and agree to the utility agreement. But if you're requesting water and drain, read that very carefully before clicking. The other orange box there is for if none of the options that you've typed in are available, you can check the box to hold your space from last year as a last resort, pending any offers that may be given to you about moving to a new size or location. All of our previous exhibitors have the right of first refusal for their previous space. So as long as you check that box, your space from the 2016 show won't be released until you accept space in the new location. If you don't check off those boxes, you get a little red bar that says this is mandatory, you have to check it off. Also, if you're asking for an island or a peninsula, the corners will be pre-populated. Island configurations all have 4 corners. Peninsula configurations all have 2. This slide just gives you a little bit blown up version of the utility requirements. Asking for electric, drain, water, or compressed air, or if you need no electric or plumbing requirements. You need to check those boxes, and then in the orange box, the service or utility supplied wherever possible. If you're requesting water or drain locations for companies needing water and drain, can be limited and kind of tricky in each hall.
And if you don't need any utilities, you have to check that last box that says no utilities are required. So if you're not going to order electric, you're not going to order compressed air, you know, you don't need drain or water, then you've got to make sure you check that last box that you don't have any requirements. Part of this too is, you know, you're basically, you'll hear us say this kind of more at the end, but you know, this is a contract. So that orange box is mandatory. You must sign off on it that you've read and agree to the terms of the contract and the agreement.
If you're all finished here, you can click to the next process, and it'll take you back so that you can see your booth request. And if you wish to make an additional request, you can click there. Now, to clarify, this additional request would be for an additional category, not another booth in the category that you just requested a booth in. If you, the option was given to you if you wanted expansion to make that request early on. This would be if you wanted an additional booth in a different category at our show. And we do have a 65% rule. If 65% of your product fits in one or more categories, then our show managers would review your product and determine the best category for you to meet the appropriate buyer.
So this, you know, this is a service for a small segment of exhibitors. So don't get confused by this. You know, if you've recently had an acquisition in your company and you're, say you've got cleaning products now and you've also your main, you know, thing has been cook and bakeware, you may now want to request an additional booth to exhibit in the North Hall for cleaning, for the cleaning products. This is really what this is about. It's not to be used to get additional locations in the same hall for additional exposure.
The majority of the companies are just going to bypass this and click proceed to the next step. When you do make a new request, you're taken back to the request screen where you have to complete your dimensions, configuration, utility needs. You also have to sign off on the utilities once again, and be sure to put in a booth location or type in that free text area that you're willing to be called with options. The final step is the membership and invoice page. This is where you're going to, if you've already become a member, it'll be reflected here if your membership payment has already been received. I know some of you have already sent in the membership from a letter that you received just prior to receiving the space application. If you haven't already renewed your membership, this would be the place to do it. That first box lets you choose either full payment or partial payment. And then in the blue box, you're going to tell me what membership you fit in. It's $450 for members that have an annual housewares sales of $10 million or less, and it's $750 for those companies whose annual houseware sales are over $10 million.
There's two important things about the membership. We really, most people do take the membership, but I just want you to know that a couple of things here. One, if you take the membership and you meet the deadline, you're eligible for the discounted space, right? So it's a cost savings to you. If you don't meet the deadline, you still are getting the member rate. So $15 for the discount, $15.50 just with the membership. The other kind of important thing, if you're not aware of it, you should be, theinspiredhome.com. That is our consumer platform. We are having some really great success with it. It's basically a lifestyle similar to Pinterest, but a little more in-depth web-based platform. We're very integrated with YouTube influencers and bloggers, and you can only participate in Inspired Home if you're an exhibiting member. So it's designed to help brand you to the consumer. Our numbers look great. We expect them to double again in the next 6 months. And we're really trying to encourage as many of our exhibitors to take advantage of the Inspired Home, because in the end, it's all about reaching the consumer with your brand and your product. The other kind of important takeaway here is that membership has to be taken before we confirm your space. We are not able to go back and adjust membership. So if you go through this and you say, I'd rather pay the non-member rate and not take membership and not get the discount and not be an Inspired Home, and then later you get your space confirmed and you're, oh, well, why, I should have taken membership. We cannot make that adjustment. That is directed from our bankers and our auditors. So this is the point where you need to do it. Once we send you that confirmation and that your space has been assigned, you are no longer eligible to take the membership. So important that you take it here.
There's a couple other points on this page. This is the legal and the financial page. The next three boxes that you sign off on are that your company and all of your employees agree to abide by the terms and conditions of the contract, that you will and your employees will also abide by our exhibitor code of conduct, and you once again need to sign off on the utility requirements. That's for the legal beagles here. They need that page signed off. Your name and your email are your electronic signature, and then once you click submit, you're done. You can't go back. You should also know that IHA does not accept credit cards, so you won't be required to make any payment right here on this site when you click submit. You're going to be given an email along with the invoice for payment as soon as your application is submitted. This is just highlights the membership. You can see on here that when you click to become a member and you choose to pay in full, that your space calculations are all done there for you, so you know what's anticipated as far as payment is required when you click submit.
Just another quick note on membership. Membership is not refundable. So if you adhere to a cancellation policy and you want to vote by that October 31st deadline date, and we cover this again, we do not refund membership.
You are able to still, even if you cancel your space application, you are able to enjoy all of the member benefits throughout the year, even without being exhibiting, with the exception of participating in Expired Home. That is for exhibiting members only. This next screen here is it's kind of a blow-up of what is required for you to sign off on. If you'd like PDFs of these terms and conditions, the exhibitor code of conduct, and the utility waiver, the PDF is available right next to at the end of the checkbox. It's in blue and it says click here for PDF. You can print these and read them at your leisure. If you don't check the box, big red lines come up. These boxes are mandatory and you won't be able to proceed without checking them. This, once again, is a contract. Now, you've submitted your space application. You see the space application is complete. You can't go back and make any changes. Any changes to this contract, you can feel free to either call me or email me. My email address is right there. And any changes we need to have in writing, it'll be placed in the file and in our database with whatever changes you've decided to make after you've clicked submit. You're going to be receiving information email, and in that email is your invoice, a PDF version of the rules and regulations, and the code of conduct. Once again, if you're requesting expansion, we are not asking that you pay for that expansion. Expansion payments will be invoiced at the time of assignment.
So the reason we have this slide is, we get a lot of questions about why we have some of the rules we have, etc. So we just want to, you know, IHA, the Housewares Association, is a not-for-profit organization. We are the industries association, and we try to keep a very even playing field in our assignment process. And our board of directors, you know, that's who we report to. And the board of directors is made up of exhibiting members, your peers, both big companies and small companies, and they are really the ones that give the direction on everything, from pricing to new legalities to rules, etc. So everything gets run through the board, and, you know, so if you're ever questioning how, why, that's why. Board of directors, they govern us, and they are there on your behalf. So here's the payment options again. And again, I'm just going to kind of stress a few things. So July 1st is the deadline. That is the most important deadline for your sales managers. The more information and applications that they receive by the deadline will help them understand the process, will help them understand what might be available on the floor to, you know, handle expansion requests or relocation requests. July 1 is very important. The second most thing about July 1 is that you pay. You either pay in full and get that discount, which saves you some money, and you have to take membership, and remember, to get the member rate, you have to become a member, and that's your greatest opportunity. We will never refund membership. However, if you take option number 1 and something happens with your company, you have whatever, for whatever reason that you might need to cancel before the October 31st cancel date, you would be entitled to a full refund of your booth fees. That's only available with option number 1. So it affords you, it makes you pay up front, but it gives you the greatest flexibility in terms, you know, if something goes on with your company and you need to change. Option number 2 gives you the 50%, which, you know, some of you with your accounting cycles, that's just an easier thing for you to do. So you can pay half in July and then half by that mid-September date, September 16th. No refund available on this option, and no discount. So you can take your membership, you'd be billed at the $15.50 rate. Alyssa.
Plus membership.
Right. So you're paying, you guys can feel free to chime in. When on this option number 2, you're paying 50% of your booth payment fees,
and then the full membership payment. Right,
full membership payment of either $450 or $750. And we go on the honor policy there. We trust that you're going to take the membership that's appropriate to your company. Any questions? Does anyone want to talk about payment options before we move on? Okay. I kind of covered the cancellation already. So no refund ever on membership. Option number 2, no refund. Option number 1, as long as you meet the cancellation deadline date by October 31st, you're entitled to a refund. Katie's going to handle the space assignment process.
So just a quick glance at what we do here. Companies that make the July 1st deadline with their space application and payment are going to be part of our first round of assignments, which Nancy explained takes us from mid-July into October. The first people of that group to be assigned will be the 2016 exhibitors that are requesting their same space. Those companies get assigned first, then we know what kind of space we have to work with for companies that are looking for relocation or expansion. That next group is companies that exhibited in the 2016 show and are requesting expansion or relocation. Once we finish that group, we will start working on companies that are new to the show and companies that are returning after not exhibiting with us either in 2016 or for several years. So this process like Nancy said, does take well into October, so we ask for your patience as we work through this, and just know that we're working as quick as we can to get you your space assignment in a timely manner.
So it's a hard process for anybody outside of it to understand. So first off, we're dealing with over 2,200 exhibitors, so that's a pretty big number for us to get placed. Secondly, we're dealing with a lot of requests and a lot of people who need to make changes or want to make changes. So we do our best. We can't always accommodate requests in the year you request them. But trust me, this team of sales managers are working for you, and they're working in your best interest, and we just ask for your patience. Most of them are in contact with you. If you feel that you need to reach out to them, they're certainly happy to receive a phone call and speak with you, but they can't always give you the answer you need because they're still working through this process. So it's very complex. It takes a long time. It may not look to you from that way, but it just is. It's a lengthy process. And we try to, maintain fairness. We do things in seniority order. For those of you who are new on this call, you earn seniority by consecutive years in the show. So every year you exhibit, you earn a greater seniority. And of course, we've had some people in the show for 45 years, so they have a very good seniority number. So in order to keep an even playing field, we work in that order. Some of you may say, well, I've been in the show for a long time, and I saw a new person next to me, and I've been requesting location or expansion. In those scenarios, it's usually that's a last-minute change. Somebody's canceled, and we fulfill either a move or a wait-listed person. Sometimes those changes happen in February. Sometimes those changes happen in March. So, there's a method to the madness. It's not we're picking people over what you have requested. If you haven't received your request, just keep requesting. The team keeps a running list of everybody who wants to move. They're in touch with you. If they're not in touch with you, I strongly encourage you to get on the phone and establish a relationship so that you're visible and get on this list of things they need to do. But they read each one of these contracts that come in, and they do their very best to accommodate. So I just want everyone to walk away from this webinar knowing that we are working on your behalf and working hard to try and accommodate the best story we can make for you. Questions? Are there any questions? So
we have a couple here.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Deb.
Let me see. Can you repeat what the early bird discount was for paying in full?
Sure. It's 50 cents per square foot. So with the membership, payment option number 1, you'd be looking at $15 a square foot. And just to clarify, all that's paying for is your real estate on the floor, a concrete piece of real estate in the dimensions you requested. So that doesn't include furnishings or any of that. It's just the raw space square footage rate. If you take option number 2, go ahead.
Is there a place where they can learn more about Inspired Home?
Absolutely. A couple of things there. You can go on to www.housewares.org, and you can search Inspired Home in there, and it will actually give you an editorial calendar of the products and the stories that will be featured throughout the year. You can also let your sales manager know that you're interested in Inspired Home, and we will pass your request on to the team that's handling Inspired Home, and they will reach out to you and tell you anything you need to know about it. It's a really cool website. No other trade show in the world is doing it. We're very proud of it. We launched this last year. We've made several tweaks to it already. So definitely encourage you to look into it, look at the website, try the recipes, read the stories. We cover all categories on the site. So go take a look at it. There's probably contact information right on the site. Otherwise, just shoot an email to your sales manager and they'll get you in touch.
Okay, the next question is, if somebody requests a different booth size and or location, do you still pay for the size of your existing booth while the request is being processed?
Yes. Katie, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, we will hold your 2016 location until you agree upon another location.
That's what that last resort button is important that you check, because that tells us, that guarantees you your space. We're selling out earlier and earlier. So that last resort is important, because if they can't accommodate your request, they're at least reserving your previous space.
Okay, and the last question I have is, if someone currently has 2 booths and they're adjacent and have memberships under both booths, are we able to combine them into just one booth and one membership?
It depends. The best thing for you to do is to reach out to your sales manager to be able to go through the logistics of it. I think that has to be done on a one-off basis. We have a policy in place that companies that have to take membership have their own physical address, they have their own staffing, and regardless if you're working with a distributor or if you have a partnership with another company, there's a few details in there that are best suited if you talk to your manager directly.
Okay, that's all I have. You might want to remind everyone that this webinar is being recorded.
Yeah, so this webinar is being recorded. We will send you the link to the recording. Additionally, Dawn is going to do a live webinar demonstration with a dummy company. And as soon as that is recorded, we will send that along to you. All of our information is on the website. You can contact any one of the sales team at any time. We are, hopefully you've experienced this, but we are known for our customer service and our hand-holding. We are here to help you, so any question you have, you can email us, you can call us. Any one of the team can help you, and just get your stuff in by July 1st. That's what we're asking. So thank you very much for attending today's webinar. It was the first of its kind, so I hope it was informative. And if you have any suggestions for improvement, go ahead and shoot me an email. This is Nancy. And we will probably do another one down the road here, so hopefully you won't have to attend because your application will already have come in. So have a good afternoon and a nice Memorial Day holiday, and feel free to contact us at any time. Thank you.
Thank you.